News. South Korea confirms 2 more cases of coronavirus, bringing the total here to 18 so far. 2 could soon be released from quarantine. China, meanwhile, reports dozens more deaths as the number of cases rises to more than 24,000. The Education Ministry announces new measures to closely monitor students from China. Also, when they get to Korea, they won't be able to go to their school for 14 days. And South Korean retailers see a huge jump in online sales as people choose to do their shopping from home because of the coronavirus. It's 4:00 p.m. here in Seoul. Thanks for tuning in to Arirang News. I'm Devin Whiting. We start with the latest on the coronavirus outbreak. And while the death toll and the number of cases continues to soar in China, more patients have been confirmed to have the virus here in Korea as well. For the latest, we connect to our Kim Hae-sung. So, Hae-sung, what's the situation in Korea?
That's right, Devin. So 2 new cases were confirmed here in Korea today. That brings the total number of cases to 18. The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the 17th confirmed case is a 38-year-old Korean male who visited Singapore from January 18th to 24th to take part in a conference. After the conference was over, the patient found out that one of the people at the conference was a confirmed coronavirus patient from Malaysia. He visited a designated hospital here in Korea yesterday and tested positive today. The 18th case is a 21-year-old Korean woman. She is the daughter of the 16th patient, who is a 42-year-old Korean woman who returned to Korea from Thailand on January 19th and was confirmed with the coronavirus yesterday. Health authorities said that the 16th patient had been in contact with over 300 people in Korea before being quarantined. And Devin, on some other updates, 2 of the confirmed patients could be released from the hospital soon. The second confirmed patient, a 55-year-old male who returned to Korea from Wuhan, has tested negative twice, and the National Medical Center has decided to remove the patient from quarantine and is figuring out a date for him to leave the hospital. So those are some of the latest updates I have for now, and I'll bring you with the latest in our next newscast at 7 in the evening. And back to you for now, Devin.
All right. Kim Hae-sung, thank you for that. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, China confirmed 65 more deaths in Hubei province, bringing the total number for the whole country so far to 490. New cases being reported in other countries, too. Kim Mo-gan has the latest.
China's National Health Commission announced that as of Tuesday evening, the total number of deaths caused by coronavirus had reached at least 490, and that more than 24,000 people have tested positive for the virus. It was an increase of at least 65 deaths and more than 3,000 new infections from the previous day, and was the most of either figure recorded in a single day. All the deaths reported on Tuesday came from Hubei province, where the outbreak is most serious. Amid ongoing efforts to contain the virus, China has finished building a new hospital in Wuhan. The first batch of coronavirus-infected patients arrived at the Huoxinshan Hospital on Tuesday. For the past week, Wuhan has been building 2 hospitals with thousands of beds for confirmed patients to help ease the shortage of beds in the city. The second hospital is set to be completed on Wednesday. Outside of China, more than 220 confirmed cases of the coronavirus have been reported in at least 25 countries and territories. There's also been 1 death from the virus in Hong Kong and 1 in the Philippines. As of Tuesday, Hong Kong has seen at least 18 confirmed cases, while the Philippines has 2. According to NHK, Japan is the country with the highest number of confirmed cases outside of China, with 33 cases, after 10 people on a cruise ship tested positive for the virus. Thailand has 25 confirmed patients, Singapore 22, and South Korea has 18 cases of the virus. 10 cases each have been confirmed in Malaysia, Macau, and Vietnam, and there are 6 in France, 5 in the United Arab Emirates, and 3 in India. The United States saw 11 confirmed cases after 2 cases have been reported from California on Monday. Kim Mo-gan, Arirang News.
South Korea will soon start implementing a 3-step monitoring system for all international students entering from China. The Education Ministry announced the plan on Wednesday after a meeting with local universities. It said it'll apply to some 70,000 students, but it's not clear exactly when it'll start. In the first step, all international students and faculty arriving in South Korean airports will have to go through a separate entry hall and pass strict medical screening. Second, they'll not be allowed to go to their respective schools within 14 days of arrival. And the third step comes after those 14 days. At that point, the government will coordinate with public health centers to make sure it can respond immediately to any outbreak. And the government will be using emergency funds to try and contain the new virus, and it's considering expanding the entry ban on foreigners. Our Park Ki-jun has the details.
South Korea will immediately use more than $2.8 billion of emergency funding to tackle the coronavirus outbreak.
The government is currently using its secured budget for the crisis, and it has an emergency fund of $2.8 billion. There's an objective reserve of $1.7 billion and a general reserve of $1.1 billion. We will use them swiftly and effectively.
This was decided by the representatives of the government, the Blue House, and ruling party at a meeting at the National Assembly on Wednesday. The emergency budget will be used for quarantine and to support industries that have suffered losses from the outbreak. The key focus of the meeting was the economic response to the outbreak. They closely reviewed the virus's influence on the global and domestic economy, breaking it down by industry.
We must strengthen government cooperation with various regions, industries, and companies, as we did when Japan imposed export curbs on us last year. Then we will again turn this crisis into an opportunity.
The three groups also said they wanted stricter screening for foreigners entering the country. Although nothing was decided at the gathering, Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun hinted at the possibility of expanding the current entry ban on foreigners who have visited Hubei province in the past 2 weeks to foreigners from other regions. This comes as patients in South Korea who recently visited Thailand and Japan have tested positive for the virus.
We'll closely watch the situation in Hubei province and the surrounding area. We'll also test entering non-Chinese foreigners if necessary.
South Korea will also continue to work closely with China. It plans to keep supplying masks and other goods to Korean nationals in China while supporting local firms in tackling the outbreak. By jointly overcoming the crisis, the ruling party, government, and the top office anticipate better relations between Seoul and Beijing. Park Ki-jun, Arirang News.
President Moon Jaein visited a community health center this morning to check up on the nation's coronavirus response system. Wearing a face mask himself, Moon was briefed on the measures taken by the center in Seongdong-gu district in western Seoul, known for its active response. Moon encouraged the workers there and stressed that such centers are crucial in fighting against the virus.
국가적으로 감염병 대응 체계를 훨씬 더 강화해야 될 것 같습니다. 우선은 지금 현재 상황을 잘 수습하는 게 중요하고, 첫째로 이제 지역사회 감염을 막아주시고, 그다음에 또 주민들 불안하지 않게 해주시고, 그 두 가지 역할을 일선 지자체에서, 특히 보건소에서 잘 해주시고.
Also, with the spring semester coming up soon, Moon called for close cooperation between local governments and universities and a comprehensive system to manage the large number of Chinese students in Korea and Korean students returning from China. The president then looked around a separate clinic that is hermetically sealed, as well as a bus there with X-ray facilities. Today was President Moon's second on-site visit since the outbreak, having visited the National Medical Hospital last month. In other news, in the U.S., many eyes were on the Iowa caucuses on Tuesday. They're a key step in choosing candidates for the presidential election. But technology problems and reporting glitches kept Iowa Democratic Party officials from announcing the results. Our Yoon Jung-min has more.
The Democratic Party has released the partial results of the delayed Iowa caucuses, and the results say Pete Buttigieg, the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, is leading the race with some 26.9% of the vote. Buttigieg is followed by Senator Bernie Sanders with some 25%, Senator Elizabeth Warren with about 18%, and former Vice President Joe Biden with some 15%. Only 62% of the votes are actually in, but the results are a bit unexpected, as previous polls showed Biden and Sanders as leading contenders. But Biden is set in fourth place so far, and Buttigieg is at the top of the list.
Official, verified, caucus results are coming in from the state of Iowa. They're not complete, but results are in from a majority of precincts, and they show our campaign in first place.
Sanders' campaign say they are waiting until the final results. The Democratic Party apologized for coding errors with their new app, which caused a delay in the reporting of the caucus results. On the Republican side, President Trump won the Iowa caucus by a landslide. He got some 97% of the votes statewide, beating former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld and former Republican Illinois Representative Joe Welch, who gained around 1% of the votes. Taking to Twitter, Trump called the Democrat caucus a disaster, adding that he was the only person that could claim a big victory on caucus night. 윤정민, 아리랑 뉴스.
Because of the coronavirus, more people here in South Korea are doing their shopping online rather than heading out to the shops. And the industry is stepping up its efforts to meet this surge in demand. Park Se-young has this report.
Protective face masks and hand sanitizer are nowhere to be seen at this supermarket as shoppers snapped up the daily renewed stock in double quick time. Most customers can be seen wearing face masks as they wander around the shop. However, many are choosing to shop online for their daily supplies due to the coronavirus outbreak. According to Lotte Mart, its same-day delivery volume from January 27th to February 3rd jumped over 51% compared to the same period last year.
There's a supermarket I go to a lot, but I don't want to go there if possible, since their online delivery system is good anyway.
Following the Lunar New Year holiday, online sales of everyday supplies like toilet paper, shampoo, and toothpaste have surged to twice the average. With more people choosing to stay home, online sales of food products like meal kits and frozen food products soared by up to 1,095% compared to the previous month. And sales of health functional foods like red ginseng, which are generally popular holiday gift options, rose by 45% in the week following the holidays.
Sales of health products like omega-3, vitamin pills, and garlic are increasing a lot.
With the sudden surge in demand, some companies have had to notify consumers of delivery delays and close their orders earlier than usual. However, the industry says it's working to increase delivery efficiency and keep a close check on the availability of products. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
And starting today, there'll be stiff penalties against sellers who hoard large quantities of protective face masks and hand sanitizers. The Finance Ministry says vendors who keep on hand more than 1.5 times their average monthly sales volume of these products for more than 5 days could face up to 2 years behind bars or a fine of up to $42,000. Because of the coronavirus, demand for face masks and hand sanitizers has skyrocketed. These penalties will be in effect at least until the end of April. Time now for an in-depth look at the market news, and for that I'm joined on the line by Dr. Song Soo-young, Professor of Economics at Jung-ang University. Professor Song, thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, my pleasure to join you. Yeah.
So despite the coronavirus issue, stocks on Wall Street surged on Tuesday. Korean stocks were on course for a decent gain today, too. How much has the coronavirus shock worn off?
Actually, the effect of the coronavirus is very limited, and the recent development of the very crucial news today I have just observed is that the Korean has identified the novel coronavirus and separate them and cultivate them, and then that could open the way to find and to test to lead to the vaccine. So to that regard, already the capital markets investors were aware of this coronavirus has the effect is limited, and then it is not the sell-off of the impact on the world economy is less than expected.
Right. Well, in other news, we have President Trump's economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, saying that the coronavirus is going to delay the export boom that people expected to come from this phase 1 trade deal with China. What do you make of the situation as it affects that trade deal?
As far as Kudlow is concerned, I just
in his statement that its effect on the trade and economy is just 20 basis points, which is equivalent to 0.2 percentage. So therefore, the effect is not very small. And then the other Leipziger and the other some U.S. representatives who are engaged in the trade dispute with and negotiation with China, they have made a statement that maybe the purchase of the U.S. agricultural products and goods by China would be a little bit slowed, but they have said that there is no request or from China at all. So therefore, now I think the world economy is escaping from the effect, begin to escape from the effect of the coronavirus, and the life cycle of coronavirus has reached the peak. And I hope. And actually, according to the WHO report, still we could say that it will not be. The current situation has been reached to the pandemic at all. Only it could be stopped and the local epidemic in mainland in China.
Well, we see that Korean car makers, for example, are facing a crisis because they can't get certain parts that they need. In fact, they've actually had to stop production. I mean, we see reports that a huge part of the Chinese economy has essentially shut down. So how true is that? And what's the potential damage here for Korean firms?
Yeah, that is actually just a time delay of the production, and the effect must be very limited. Particularly, the Hyundai Motor Company had stopped producing, but currently the consumption and demand for the automobile has been declining. So I think they make use of this opportunity to spend more time on the development of electric cars and others. Particularly semiconductors, and who have in the production in China is totally stopped, but it will be temporary stop. So as long as the effect of coronavirus has peaked, and then in the second or third week of February, then it's declining, and then we expect some resumption of the demand, and the world economy will be on the recovery track. So the effect is quite temporary right now. So I think that is already somewhat reflected in the response in the capital markets around the world, not only in China, but also in U.S. market and the European markets, and the Korean market also.
Indeed. Well, hopefully the outbreak itself is short-lived as well. All right, Professor Song, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, it's been 7 months since Japan started restricting certain key exports to South Korea. Both countries' economies have taken a hit, but the numbers show it was especially painful for Japan. Our Kim Jae-hee reports.
It began last July when Japan imposed export restrictions on South Korea. The move sparked a long trade feud between the two neighbors, which harmed both economies. But since the curbs were imposed, Seoul has found ways to lessen its dependency on Tokyo. On the other hand, the boycott of Japanese goods in South Korea was more damaging to Japan than was initially anticipated.
The South Korean government invested in and encouraged domestic firms to localize the key materials subject to restrictions. Along with the boycott movement of Japanese products within the country, it seems South Korea has seen less damage so far.
From July to November last year, Seoul saw a 7.8% decrease in its exports to Tokyo. But the drop of Tokyo's exports to Seoul were far larger. They plummeted by more than 14%. And despite the boycott toning down over the past few months, it has undeniably left a scar in Japan's economy. South Korea's boycott has dented Uniqlo's sales, and its parent firm, Fast Retailing, cut its full-year outlook for 2020 last month after worse-than-expected quarterly results. Japanese beer exports have taken a big hit, down 97.9% last December compared to the previous year. Many Japanese automakers took a blow as well. Toyota sales last year fell almost 37% compared to the year before. Due to the influence of the boycott, Seoul posted a trade deficit with Tokyo of $19.1 billion last year, the smallest amount in 16 years since the $19 billion deficit in 2003. The economic damage to Tokyo is expected to be worse, as many South Koreans have shunned travel to Japan as well. But experts also say the boycott movement has already shown signs of shrinking and will inevitably meet an end.
Boycotts can't last forever and should be used as a political signal to show willingness to solve a problem through dialogue. It shouldn't be used as a method to get one over the other side. That would only result in economic damage to both countries.
The experts stressed that the two neighbors need to find a solution through dialogue and differentiate between politics and the economy so they can benefit from their close geographical location. Kim Jae-hee, Arirang News.
In our lives, we encounter an ever-growing number of intelligent machines and smart devices that make decisions affecting everything from the news we're exposed to the search for a new job. There are risks that go along with this because machines can make decisions that make social disparities worse, as our Oh Soo-young reports.
Robots taking our jobs and racist search engines are just a few of the concerns societies face as algorithms and smart devices become embedded in our daily lives. The UN Development Programme's annual report on human development, launched in Seoul this week, highlights the challenges societies face in the fourth industrial revolution. The challenges ensuring that the transformative technologies we see today, such as artificial intelligence, change our lives in positive ways, instead of worsening social problems such as inequality. One major concern is the impact of automation on human jobs, as technology like image and speech recognition allows machines to become faster and more efficient.
I say tasks. It does mean that the full function, the full occupation, the full job can be replaced necessarily by machines. So there are huge opportunities to actually harness artificial intelligence in a way that can leverage the ability of machines to make some of these tasks better, while empowering humans to perform those other tasks that artificial intelligence cannot do very well.
Another major concern is that AI can exacerbate biases in society, worsening gender and racial disparities in education, employment, and society in general.
Algorithms that are meant to maximize the use of social media, for instance, can lead people to polarized positions by encouraging people to only look at news or posts or information that caters to the biases and the preferences that they already have. So
it is crucial to establish ethical standards and policies, encoding algorithms and promote inclusiveness. The digital divide should also be addressed to make sure that entire groups of people aren't left behind.
You need to have a specific level of education, of knowledge, so then you can really make the best benefit out of new technologies. And this is, of course, typically the case rather in those countries which are better off with a higher income. So developing countries still experience this kind of disadvantage in this regard.
But with the right policy design, new technologies are expected to be a powerful force in closing various social gaps. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
And that brings us to the end of this newscast. Thank you for watching. More live news coming your way at 7 p.m. Korea time.